Okay, let's do a little mic check. Can everybody hear me? There's gonna be a slight lag here, so there's no stream snipers camping my position. And I set up this stream lab in the last 24 hours, so hopefully this works out well. I think the chat will be about 20 seconds behind my audio, so if you find your question not answered right away, that's why. We'll give it a couple minutes. See, we've got 5 people, so we got about 10% of the players in here. Good to see. All right, here we go, up to 7. So I'll give it till 7:03 and then we'll get into it. Yeah, Trevor, it is amazing how much poop was out there today. We got all that snow last Friday. Or was it Friday? Or Sunday? I don't even remember. Saturday, Sunday? Surprising how many of the dog walkers just leave it there. Okay, here we go. Thanks everybody for tuning in. First time trying something like this with the streaming players meeting, so hopefully it goes well. We've got hopefully good audio, and I'll post this afterwards for anyone that misses it, which is going to be a lot of most people. So I was out at Ellison today. The snow is pretty deep. I'm really going to stress this. There's a lot of people that I don't know in the players. If you don't have winter experience, please dress appropriately. This is going to be a long day regardless of how you dress, but if you don't have boots, you're going to have a bad time. The snow is definitely over ankle high in most places. It's crunchy on top, but you're going to break through it. Wear layers. I was out there today. It was 15 degrees, and I was moving around a lot, shoveling, and I overheated pretty quickly. But you know, if you don't have layers to take off, you're gonna get sweaty, and then you're gonna get cold. So please, please, please plan ahead. Don't show up wearing sneakers and jeans. This is probably gonna take 5 to 6 hours, I would guess. So you're going to have a very bad time if you're not prepared. Nick, bring salt to melt the snow, paved T-pads especially. I'm going to be out there tomorrow. I'll bring some melt with me. I'll get it. I'll get the pavement ones as best I can. I think so. 2 and 3 are the only ones on pavement. We'll get to that in a second. I'm gonna spend some time tomorrow getting the tees as best I can. I was out there today. I shoveled them out probably 75-80%, but I didn't have a metal shovel, so I'm gonna break them up tomorrow a little bit and hopefully get at least flat ground. Like, you're not gonna have good footing, but it'll at least be flat. All right, first big thing is if anyone's been out there, sledding obviously was an issue. The area where sledders may be is going to be the areas between 1 and 2. There's a few sled tracks that go down in that very like shallow sloped area. Probably the little kids, I'm guessing. I'm going to set up Tournament Central in the parking lot, kind of in between the first tee and the first basket. So hopefully I can keep sledders away from that area. And if they are in that area, I'll at least be able to spot for the people on hole one. But that seems to be the only area that's going to be an issue with the sledders getting in the way. Obviously, don't throw if anyone's in your way. Wait till they clear out. If you need to, send somebody up to talk to them. But hopefully I'm going to be there to keep people out of one's fairway. That's really the main area that I'm concerned about. If you've never played a sanctioned winter tournament, I had a couple questions about this. If the tournament director deems winter or night play, you're allowed to put LED lights or ribbons on your disc. So I'm officially announcing winter play. You can put ribbons, you can put LEDs, you can put chalk, anything reasonable on your disc to make it easier to find. And I'm going to encourage everyone to do that. The snow is crunchy on top right now, but if you throw a driver, it's definitely going to punch through the top and get buried, and you're going to have a hard time finding it. There's a ton of footprints out there. Okay, so I'm seeing in the chat, hole 4 has a lot of sledders. Okay, so at least 4, you'll be able to see them. So just, there's going to be nothing we can do. I've got a permit for the park, and if anyone gets into real big arguments, you can send them my way, and I'll show them the permit. We've got official permission from the county to use the disc golf course, and the disc golf course is encompassing the winter layout now, so anyone that's not sledding in the designated areas, they're going to be in the wrong. Getting back to the ribbons, I really highly recommend using the ribbons. If you've never used them before, there's tons of resources online about how to do them, but basically you're looking for little plastic Christmas ribbons, and you're going to tape them onto the discs. You want to do it when the disc is warm to get the tape to stick right. Probably 3 feet. If you don't have the ribbons, I almost guarantee you're going to lose a disc or risk losing a disc. And the PDGA rule for lost discs is you got 3 minutes to find it. And I am going to really encourage people to kind of be dicks and enforce the 3-minute rule instead of waiting for 5 minutes and then calling the 3-minute rule, because it's going to be a long day. And if every time somebody throws a disc in the snow, you wait a couple minutes before you start 3 minutes, it's going to take forever. So to kind of compensate for the number of lost discs that I imagine, I'm going to set up drop zones on every hole for lost disc. So if you lose your disc, you're not going to go back and re-tee. You're just going to move right to the drop zone, and the drop zone is going to be probably in circle 2 on every hole. So you're going to have a chance to get a putt at least if you lose your disc, and hopefully save a bogey. Okay, so it sounds like hole 4 is going to be an issue. If that's the spot that's going to be the issue, maybe I'll walk out there during the round and try to put up some barriers. I'll see what I can do tomorrow as far as I'll look for the sledding paths and try to shut them down. It seems like that's almost in the trees if they're going through hole 4's fairway. But we'll get to that when we're out there. There's no telling how many people are going to be out there. It's going to be very cold. Like I said, please dress appropriately. Bring hand warmers if you've got them. Okay, so James just asked if more than one lost disc on the card, is it 3 minutes for each? Yes, James. So it's 3 minutes for each, and officially the 3 minutes doesn't start until everyone on the card is helping. So if you throw your drive off on the right side and it gets buried in the snow, and somebody throws theirs off on the left side and it's buried in the snow, everyone should go to look for one of them for 3 minutes. If you don't find it, it's lost. The person's going to move to the drop zone, go look for the other one for 3 minutes. If that one's lost, move to the drop zone. Hopefully, you're not having multiple discs on the same hole lost, because otherwise it's going to add up really quick. Okay, so they go down hole 12 all the way down. Okay. Well, I'll see if I can, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll try to put up some kind of, I don't know, maybe just a sign, or I'll just go stand out there. Um, okay, so getting back to tournament stuff. So we had a few people drop out today. So we're going to knock it down to only 11 holes, which is going to, I think, help us get finished in the daylight, the more I started thinking about it. So if you look at the map over here on the right, you can see that there's kind of a long walk after hole 10. You're going to walk from hole 10 all the way up back to the parking lot, basically, along the path. That was the best bet to get the cards back to near hole 1. So the path is pretty icy, so if you've got yak tracks or spikes or anything like that, I would definitely wear them. Yeah, Ben, I think it's going to be, I mean, the forecast is going to be 0 degrees, so I don't think there's going to be too many kids out there, hopefully. Just crazy disc golfers. So after hole 10, you're just going to take a couple minutes and walk up to hole 11 and play hole 11, and then walk through the parking lot back to hole 1. Let's see. I'm going to have the tees marked with some blue, it's just food coloring and water. If you've ever been skiing, they use it to mark ski jumps and stuff like that. So I'm going to mark the tees like very wide, and hopefully you'll be able to find good footing somewhere in that area. It's going to be very casual as far as the tees go. You're going to be able to go back any reasonable distance. As long as you're behind the blue line, you're going to be good as far as the tees go. And then I'm also going to mark the drop zones with the same blue paint. And hopefully you don't need to use them, but they're going to be there just to save time so you don't have to walk all the way back and re-tee. We're going to have digital scoring. I've got the password and the website right here, pdj.com/score, and the password's just going to be first tracks. I'll go over all that when you check in, though. I'll go over the OBs real quick. Pretty self-explanatory. Hole 1, we're going to have a Mando that you have to go to the right of the parking lot. That's just so no one gets any crazy ideas of throwing turnovers or forehands over the parking lot. It's just not safe. So there's going to be a Mando on hole 1 that you have to go to the right. And then if you're on or over the walking path pavement, which is really easy to tell because they've plowed the pavement, so there's a big snowbank. So it's basically going to be if you're over the snowbank, you're going to be out of bounds. Same thing on hole 2, you're teeing off from pretty close to the pavement, and then you're throwing a hyzer, so there's a good chance if you get a skip, you might go down over the pavement. Same deal. If you're over the snowbank, you're probably going to be out of bounds. Hole 3, I think everyone will probably tee off from the pavement itself. So if you somehow hit a tree and bounce backwards, you're going to be out of bounds, and you're going to be re-teeing essentially. Hole 4, not really that much of a chance of going over it, but if you somehow go over the road on hole 4, you're going to be out as well. Then after 4, you're going to walk along the path. It's pretty well defined through the woods, and you just got to watch out for people on hole 9 that are throwing. You can see the tee, so you'll be able to see if anyone's throwing, but just be careful there because you have to walk past hole 9's basket to get to hole 5. And then once you get to hole 5 and 6, you're throwing in the general direction of the walking path. So same deal. If you're over the walking path, you're going to be out. Hole 7, 8, and 9, there's no OB. Hole 9, just be careful if you go past the basket. It's a steep hill, obviously from the summer. It's actually pretty easy to walk down right now because there's so much snow. And then hole 10 is going to be a temp hole. Hole 10 is the temp hole. It's basically straight ahead, and you're throwing at the walking path. I don't really see anyone reaching the walking path, but you might throw your second shot into it. Same deal. On or over the walking path is going to be out of bounds. All right, Phil just asked, hole 3, you said OB, re-tee, no DZ. No, if we're just going to play a regular OB on hole 3. If you somehow hit a tree and bounce straight backwards, you've got the option of re-teeing, which you always have. You can always rethrow, or you can play it from where it went out of bounds. But I'm guessing it's going to be pretty close to the tee, and the tee is lined up with a gap, so you're probably going to want to re-tee anyway. But no drop zone on hole 3. The drop zone is just for lost discs. All right, so after hole 10, you're going to take a long walk past hole 3 and hole 2, and you kind of bear right, and there's a big log cabin in there. You can't miss it. It's going to be a pretty easy shot, but if you turn it over, there's kind of a big slope down into a creek, and I'm going to paint that with the same blue paint. So if you go down over the blue paint on the right, that's going to be out of bounds. And if you somehow blast way past the basket, you might go onto the path, but that's a good 50 feet past the basket, so hopefully no one's doing that. But that's going to be 11 holes, so 2 loops for 22. So that's going to save probably a half an hour of play time. So hopefully that'll get us out of there in a reasonable amount of time. Anyone else got any other questions? Or any questions you think people might ask that aren't watching right now, that watch it later? Pedestrian Mandos. I'm not sure how that would go with the park. Okay, Pat. I would say officially, yes, you have to mark your shot with a mini. Unofficially, this is going to be the most casual sanctioned event I think anyone's ever played, just for how ridiculous the conditions are going to be. I don't think anyone on your card is going to have a problem with it. If anyone brings it up, just start using a mini. I would say don't flip your disc. If you want to pick up your disc and tap it in, I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with it. Officially, though, we're playing by all PDGA rules, so keep that in mind. If you're playing in the AM divisions, I really don't think anyone's going to have a problem with it. Um, Especially if your disc goes under the snow, I would say it's definitely um, fine to pick your disc up out of the snow and kind of wedge it in the upper crust just so you can see where it is. Again, this is much different conditions than playing in good weather, so I would think most people are going to be pretty lenient as far as calling people on stuff like using minis and whatnot. But officially, you have to use them. Yeah, Ben, exactly. It's going to be hard to see your disc when I play in the winter like this. If my disc is under the snow, I'll like dig it out and put it on top of the snow and use that disc as a mini for itself because like once it goes under the snow, you really can't see where the back end of it is anyway. It's going to be very casual as far as stances and lies and the tees. If anyone's got a problem, hopefully they just bring it to your attention and you'll have to play by the official rules. But I don't think anyone's going to be calling people on anything nitpicky like you didn't mark your lie correctly or whatnot. Yeah, hopefully I'll be out there. I'll be able to walk around, and hopefully on hole four there's not too many sledders to begin with, but I'll try to steer them away from that area if I can. Um, I'm not sure what I would use to do so, but I don't know. God, maybe I'll commandeer the fence that they've got set up around um, hole 17's tee. But other than that, I don't know how I could keep people from sliding all the way down there. Any other questions? I'll get into this. It's a shotgun start, so once you check in, there's not going to be a player meeting. So once you check in, you can just go out straight to your hole. I'm going to lock the hole assignments in after I end this stream. Whatever hole you see on the PDGA site, that's going to be the hole you're starting on. Unless there's some instance of multiple people dropping off your card and I have to reshuffle a little bit. But when you check in, I'll let you know what hole you're on and you can get out to your hole by 10 o'clock and you'll start right at 10. Jake, do you happen to have a snowmobile? Because I do have a work vest. Ah, clipboard. I do have a clipboard. I think I'll get a clipboard and the safety vest. Look very official. That's a good idea. So thanks for everyone tuning in. I'm gonna be out at the park tomorrow, probably 12:30, 1 o'clock, working on the tees. If anyone wants to come out and you've got a flat metal shovel, that'll probably be very helpful. Otherwise, we'll see you on Saturday. Yep. Okay, Ben. The drop zones are going to be probably 50 to 60 feet from the basket. And there's really nothing to prevent you from taking an easy four. Other than the drop zones are only for lost discs. So if you find somebody on your card trying to like game the system, the only way you can do it is if you lose your disc. So I don't know how you're going to lose your disc and not have the other people on your card find it. But that's the idea. The drop zones are only for lost discs. You can't just move to the drop zone for free. If that makes sense. I'll try to make that clear when people check in, but the drop zones are only if you lose the disc. So you can't move for free. And Joseph, player packs, you're going to check in and you'll get your player pack then. So check-in is 8:30 to 9:45. You'll get your disc, and then you can head out to your tee, and you can warm up. And then we'll have a very abbreviated payout ceremony at the end for everybody that finishes in the top 45%, I think. Yeah, Ben, so what you're describing, if the other people on your card are also looking for it, you can't, like, I don't know how you would hide the disc from them. So if you throw it and you go and stand on top of it and everyone else looks for it for 3 minutes and then you move to the drop zone, I guess there's really no way to stop you from doing that. Hopefully no one's doing that. If they are doing that and they're found out, there's a rule in place to it's essentially if you're trying to circumvent any of the rules, that's grounds for disqualification. So if anyone's trying to circumvent the spirit of the rule, that's going to be possible disqualification. So hopefully no one's doing that. I've never seen anything like that. But you're right, somebody could abuse it. But if they're found to be doing that, it's going to be a bigger problem than they've wanted. So I don't think anyone will be doing it. Yeah, Todd, if anyone is trying to circumvent the rules, it's a whole different issue. Okay, Chris, so if you throw your drive, that's one shot, and then you lose your disc, that's a penalty. So you'd be going to the drop zone throwing your third shot. So if you happen to make it from the drop zone, which is going to be possible, the drop zones are going to be 50 to 60 feet away. So if you throw it in from 50 feet, you're going to save your three. Okay, so I'll be sure to go over the drop zone scoring rules when people check in, just to make sure they've got an idea. If you lose your disc, you count the throw, and then there's a penalty for losing your disc, and then you're good to go from there. So you throw a drive, lose your disc, move to the drop zone, throw it from there, and then tap in a putt, and you've got a 4. So I would say most people that lose a disc are probably going to take a 4 because the drop zones are going to be pretty easy. Yeah, Chris, I would say it's definitely a slight advantage for people that don't throw very far and aren't landing near the basket to begin with. But given the conditions, I didn't want people to be walking all the way back to rethrow from their previous lie, which is what the normal rule is. I think most cards have somebody that's experienced on them, so hopefully Oh, if you somehow lose your putter, oh geez. So yeah, if you lose your disc, you're going to the drop zone. That's that's the only possibility there is. Um, so the normal rule is if you lose your disc, you throw from the previous lie. So the previous lie, if you're putting, is going to be realistically. I guess if you somehow lose your disc when you're inside the circle, it's going to be you always have the option to throw from the previous lie. So if your previous lie was inside the circle and you lose it, you can re-putt from where you just missed from. Hopefully this doesn't happen. If it happens, I feel bad for whoever has lost the putter inside the circle. Jake, it looks so as far as the forecast goes, it's just going to be cold. It looks going to be sunny and cold. I'm not going to think of canceling it or rescheduling it for cold weather. I think everyone that signed up realized that it's Rochester in the winter and there's a good chance it was going to be very cold. So I would say at this point, there's almost a 0% chance of it getting canceled or rescheduled. So come prepared, everybody. Okay, hopefully we got all the questions out here. I'll post up this video afterwards on the Facebook group, and if there's any more questions, post them in the comments there, and I'll get to them. Otherwise, you can ask me Saturday morning, or if it's anything important, shoot me an email. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. I hope this went well. First time trying this stream setup. And we'll see you guys Saturday morning. Good luck, everybody.